Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me. It's super fan of yours, as you know, and
Teru, that's so kind of you. I appreciate it.
thank you. And I have to see, I'm matching, I'm matching your book.
Love it.
Yay! There you go.
I
Perfect.
have original copy with like all.
Oh, I
kinds
love
of
that.
Yes.
I love that. Of course. A lot of what you say, so, I lived overseas until 2016 with 3 kids, and the whole adulting thing was very new to me because starting at age 6, my kids were walking around Tokyo on their own. And so when I would come back and I would get in trouble. I would go to Duvenik. Oh my God, Julie, I go to Duvenik and some of the moms would be like, we don't see you here that often. And I'd say, is there a problem? Did something happen to my daughter? And they'd be like, no, but you're not at every pickup. You're not at every drop off. I'm like, but she bikes to and from school on her own with her brother, like what, and her friends, like what? There's no issue. So It was interesting for me to come back to the US in 2016, having really socialized my kids and parented them overseas with those values. So
Yeah, so you have this extraordinary perspective on what normal is. We tend to think that whatever we're doing in our community is normal, but it turns out that what we're doing in our community is largely a fear-based, peer-pleasing challenge, right? I've got to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, they're taking their kids everywhere. I've got to take my kids everywhere. So we've sort of lost sight of the broader sense of what the norm is. And we've lost sight of what it actually takes to raise a kid to be healthy and thriving as an independent adult.
So I'd love to talk to you about the 3 A's this framework that you created. And the first one is agency. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And I want you to know, tongue in cheek, I called it the 3 A's because everyone right now is obsessed with their kids getting A's. And in a climate of pandemic, everybody in my milieu, which is Palo Alto, California, Silicon Valley, every parent is hell-bent on, oh my gosh, my kid needs a letter grade for all their work this semester because they have to get into the right high school or they have to get into the right college. Yeah. And you just want to say, like, folks, whoa, this is a pandemic. Take a chill pill. So many people don't even have internet or enough devices in their home with which to try to access this online content. So your need for your kid to get an A in their weighted AP class is so not the important topic right now. Yeah. Anyway, so this is why I offered all the A's, right? This conversation you and I are having today is about A's, but the A's are not letter grade A's. They're actually 3 things that begin with A that are far more important than getting an A on your AP history class or whatever. Okay. Agency. Agency is a fundamental concept within the field of psychology, and it basically boils down to the sense in one's own psyche. I know I can do the next task. I am capable. Okay, not I'll be president of the United States one day, but just simply I can do this. Okay, I have agency. I will act with my effort, with my intentions and my behaviors. I will get this next thing done. And it sounds very basic, and it is very basic, and it always has been very basic. But in this relatively recent time of the last 25 years, we parents have been undermining agency in our kids, and that contributes to anxiety and depression. And that's why it's at the top of my list of things to talk about.
So let's get into that. The second A is anxiety.
Yeah. So when a person's agency is undermined, and how is it undermined? It's undermined when people do things for you, when people handle things for you, when people make choices for you, solve problems for you, fix things for you, handle, manage, right? What am I describing? Helicopter parenting. When we overhelp, overdirect, fiercely protect, handle everything, we're depriving our kid of developing agency. And that leads, as I said, to higher rates of anxiety and depression. Anxiety is alarmingly on the rise in young people today. And there's a brilliant article in The Atlantic that just came out a week or so ago, which directly connects parenting behavior with anxiety in children. I'm so in love with this article. I would love to sort of just share the screen so that folks, is that cool? Okay.
Perfect.
It is right here. This is the Atlantic article. What happened to American childhood? Too many kids show worrying signs of fragility from a very young age. Here's what we can do about it. It's in the May 2020 issue. It is the cover story. And it, here's the link. I don't know if folks can see it or grab, but just go to the Atlantic, What Happened to American Childhood. It's brilliant. And it gives great examples about how we have undermined our kids' agency, created anxiety by doing things like the following. My child is afraid of the dark, therefore I will never have them in the dark. Yeah. My child is afraid of being alone, therefore they will never be alone. My child only eats pasta with butter and Parmesan cheese, therefore I will make sure the child always has access to that food, even if we're going out somewhere. And I use that example because though I am the parenting expert who wrote How to Raise an Adult, if you follow me, you know, whatever expertise I have, I'm also a parent guilty of these very things. And I have been that parent who prepared the pasta with the butter and Parmesan cheese to take with my child who was the picky eater. And all that I ended up teaching him and all that we ended up teaching kids when we're like, okay, you'll never be in the dark. You'll never be alone. You'll always have the meal you want. All we're teaching them is, oh my gosh, that fear is so legitimate that I will do everything in my power to make sure it never happens to you. Well, guess what? That creates greater anxiety. Okay. Our inability to tolerate their discomfort creates greater anxiety in them. And then, you know, the larger question is, what do we do about it? I think we're all in the process right now of figuring that out. To the extent we have undermined agency, fomented anxiety, what are we going to do about it?
So that's the third A, adulting.
Adulting, yeah. Right on. Yes. So thank you, millennials, for creating the term adulting, for turning adult into a verb. My third book actually is a sequel to How to Raise an Adult. It's called It's Your Turn, The Real How-To on Adulting. And it's for young adults who are maybe 18 to 30, struggling with #adulting, fearful of it. Totally get that. It is terrifying to #adult, but it is also delicious. And oh, by the way, you have to, because this is sort of a societal, generational imperative that you emerge from childhood and you become the adults in society who take on the adult responsibilities, look after children and elders, you know, and one day you will pass that mantle on to the generation behind you. So it is imperative that the next generation do this. And I hope that my book is a compassionate beckoning to them. Like, come on, it's your turn. Yep, you can. It is terrifying, but it's delicious. As I've said, come on, it's your turn. Adulting is, it's a state of life between being completely cared for and completely cared for, right? You're an infant, a toddler, you're a child, you're a tween, you're a teen, you're cared for by others. And then at the end of your life, you know, hopefully in your elderly years, when you have needs that you are cared for, it's this big swath of time, many decades when like, it's up to you. Wow, you're fending for yourself. You're not a babe in arms and you're not frail and fragile. You know, you're a freestanding adult. Doesn't that sound amazing? You know, and adulting boils down to wanting to, having to, and knowing how. And often we're focusing on the knowing how, like, oh, they don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to pay a bill. Those are things you can kind of learn on YouTube. It's really the more existential, I want to, coupled with I have to. If you've got so much money in your family, you don't ever really have to do for yourself. That's how you can be sort of rich and helpless, right? Because someone's always taking care of your needs. If you never have to #adult, you won't, okay? And you will feel the sort of malaise, the psychological malaise that comes from not having to fend for yourself. So you've got to have to, you got to know how, but it's the wanting to that is the, I want to be an adult. I can be an adult. I can fend for myself. I can make this happen. I can cope with what happens. You know, I've got this. And so I hope you can see how these three things are related. It's hard to #adult if you lack agency. You know, if you're so riddled with anxiety about how to do tasks that you would otherwise be able to do if you had agency, it's really hard to move forward in a #adult. So I'm interested in what can we do to instill agency in our kids instead of remove it from them, thereby lessening the anxiety that they feel and increasing the confidence they have in their own competence. And then they can go out there and #adult. It's all related.
So Julie, now we have a bunch of millennials who are living back at home with their parents. How do you see this pandemic enhancing or undermining adulting?
Frankly, I think what happens to millennials and older Gen Zs, so it's sort of the younger millennials, older Gen Zs right now, who are in that kind of 18 to 25, came back home during pandemic generation. I think what happens, or what they do and what their parents do in this moment, is going to say a whole lot about whether they thrive afterward or wither. I am super clear. They've graduated high school. They're out in the world. They're either in the workplace or college. If they've come back home, what you want to do is not undermine the growth that's already happened. Okay. You don't want to undo whatever learning has happened. They're accustomed to more independence. They're making their own decisions. They've been held accountable by others for various things. You don't want to undo that. You don't want to bring them, we parents should not bring them back into our home and treat them like they're 15-year-olds. Mm-hmm. We should sit down and say, hey, can we have a conversation about how our roles have changed? Because you're older now and we've done some changing too. And let's talk together about how we are going to run this household, because y'all are adults now and we invite your help and we need your help and we need your ideas, right? I would treat them more like colleagues in the workplace than like dependent children. Okay. If I'm the young adult and you're listening to this and you're 18 to 25, here is what would make such a difference for you within yourself, around your own agency, and in terms of your relationship with your parent. If an 18 to 25-year-old was to walk into to dinner tonight and say, hey, parents, could we set aside some time for a conversation in the next day or two? I'd like to just check in about the roles we're all playing and figure out how I can be contributing in the ways that feel good to you and to me. Any parent hearing that from their 18 to 25-year-old will be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Look, they're acting like an adult. And the parents will be thrilled and you'll be thrilled because you're going to be like, I'm in charge of myself and I'm offering to help and I want to be useful, but I also have needs to, spend some time on my own and I've got work and I want some downtime away from y'all. Like all of that's legitimate. So whether a young adult thrives in this moment or withers is a function of, do they have agency in the house? Are there expectations? Are they holding themselves accountable for making a contribution at an adult level to making this house or apartment or whatever it is run in this crazy time of pandemic?
I think your message is so on point and so necessary right now. I wish there was more conversation on this. I don't think there's enough.
I'm so honored to be here talking with you about it.
Well, Julie, tell everybody when your book is coming out.
My book, It's Your Turn, The Real How-To on Adulting, will be out on April 6th, 2021. Woohoo!
Can't wait. It's very exciting. So I'm so happy for you.
Can I tell folks where to follow me if they're
Absolutely
interested? Yeah, I got a website, julielythcott-haims.com. It's my name without the hyphen, julielythcott-haims.com. I'm J. Lythcott-Haims on all social media. And please do connect. I like to interact with folks who are interested in the topics I care about. So I'd love to hear from you. And I hope everyone's doing okay. Relatively speaking, things are crazy. We all just need to know that it's okay, that we're struggling. And I'm really grateful to you, Teru, for just being such a ray of light for folks with this 3 Qs thing that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Bye.
Bye.